Hi there, I'm Seth Juarez, joined by Cynthia Travis. We are here to talk about how Cisco and Microsoft have joined forces to secure, automate, and optimize application migration and performance in the cloud and on premises. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you.
Fantastic. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell
I
us what you do?
I will, thanks so much. So I obviously work at Cisco Systems, and again, my name is Cynthia Travis, and I'm a Global Business Development Manager focused on Microsoft.
Fantastic. So tell us a little about what Cisco does, and we have a beautiful diagram that you submitted to us to help us understand.
Yes, we do. So our customers jointly are trying to figure out, as they innovate their business and digitize their business, they're trying to figure out where their applications and workloads should live.
I see.
And on that beautiful slide, you see we've got on-prem, we have at the edge, we have in the data center, we have in the cloud. Where should my applications and workloads live? How do I secure them? How do I automate the movement of them between those things? And of course, this all ties into Microsoft's cloud solution, Azure.
Awesome. So when I'm looking at this, Cisco is really good about having the hardware that we need to make sure that everything, it's like the glue that puts everything together. Describe a little bit about what Cisco does to help applications be better.
Yeah, so we've been in the hardware business for a long time, but what people may not know is how much really interesting and cool software we have, and that's really what I'm here to talk about.
Okay.
So one of the first things that a customer has to approach in this innovation space is the specific application, and looking at how does this application perform today, and if I wanted to move it to the edge or I wanted to move it to the cloud, what would I need to make it highly performant and provide a really good customer experience? So that application lens for Cisco is through something called AppDynamics.
I see.
So AppDynamics is focused on the business transaction as it begins at the edge, let's say, on a mobile device, back to the data center, into the cloud. It follows the business transaction and tells you what's happening with that along the way and how to keep that business transaction performing. And the unique thing about it is it goes all the way into the code level of the application.
That's interesting. And so Cisco is helping people that are building applications with these business things that are moving through. How does it actually do that?
Well, it has agents
I see.
that live at the edge with the device or in the data center or live close to the application. So we can monitor things like Java or .NET written applications. One of the unique things in the joint partnership with Microsoft is the fact that we can monitor SQL code.
Oh, that's awesome.
So if customers are in a war room and they're having challenges with performance around an application, and the network guy says, oh, it's not my problem.
Oh, right.
And the storage guy goes, it's not my problem. The compute guy goes, well, I know it's not my problem because I've got my tool and I've figured out, whatever. Sometimes it's the application, and sometimes it's a line of code that has been written, and AppD can determine that and say, here's a bad SQL statement.
So what are the solutions from Cisco that help the customer make those decisions to understand where the problem is?
Well, that's exactly what AppD does, is with those agents, it's able to follow the transaction and identify where the problem is, like that, versus the hours of different tool sets trying to identify it. And then what's interesting about a cloud model with that, like Azure, is let's say the customer's trying to decide what part of the application they should put in the cloud. AppD will tell them what performance requirements they need to keep this baseline, to keep this application happy.
I see.
And then they know how to size it properly in the cloud and what it's going to cost them.
Oh, I see. So it's basically like Cisco is looking at how the application is running on premises, and when you're ready to move to the cloud, sometimes you're like, well, what size of a VM should I even choose? It can help with that.
Yes.
That's awesome. So
Yes.
there's something called Application Lens, I think is what I'm reading here. Tell me a little bit about what that is.
Well, that's what we've been speaking about. AppD is our lens into the application. So there's three lenses I'm going to talk about in terms of customers identifying workloads or applications and what to do with them as they modernize and digitize, et cetera. So that's the application lens that we've been talking about, AppD.
Okay.
The next lens is a workload lens. So let's say it's just a generic VM. Our customers have thousands of virtual machines that they're running workloads in. They could be as simple as print jobs, but they've got thousands of VMs, and they're trying to build an infrastructure that will support those VMs and keep them happy, just like you want to keep the application happy. It's very difficult to keep thousands of workloads happy at a time and know what the right size of infrastructure is for the workload, particularly as it changes. Some of our workloads run very heavy at the end of the quarter or the end of the year, and we need a different size infrastructure at that time than we did at the middle of the month.
I see.
So this lens is from a workload perspective, and it's with a product called Cisco Workload Optimization Manager, which is a rebrand, by the way, for Turbonomic, who's also here at this Microsoft Ignite. So Workload Optimization Manager takes an infrastructure point of view and says, what does my workload need to stay happy? Whether it's on the on-prem infrastructure or it's in the cloud. And again, you can use the tool to decide what size VM would I need.
I see.
How much storage would I need? How much network do I need? What's my latency to keep this workload happy?
And that's interesting because these are things that I would never think about as an application developer. First of all, the app lens for the actual application to see where the problem is.
Yeah.
And then looking at the actual workload, because as a programmer, I just write code and I'm just like, this is going to work everywhere and it's going to be so good. But with this new workload lens, you're able to see a little bit more of what's going on in there. And what else is available in that lens? Is there anything else in there?
Well, both of those tools, Application Dynamics and Workload Optimization Manager, do a lot of things, but those are really the sort of the big bucket things they address. And again, it's just the perspective from a customer point of view. Am I trying to solve for a very specific application that has been written either in Java or .NET, or that AppD has some of these plugins for? I gave SQL as an example. SAP is another example that AppD can monitor. Looking, again, this is very unique, that it can look right into the code that's been written. SAP is a very complex environment.
Yeah.
And so it can look right into the ABAP code and say, this code was poorly written. And that's a really unique thing. We're used to looking at all the infrastructure components, but we're not used to being able to call out the app guy and say, you're the one who made the mistake.
And is there something that's monitoring the software to do that? How does it actually know where the problem is?
Well, again, because the agents are able to follow the business transaction from end to end. So it could start at the edge, it could go to a data center, it could have a piece in the cloud, and those agents understand that transaction.
That's awesome. So one of the other things that I want to talk about is you're known for security and helping with securing applications, environments, et cetera. Why don't you talk a little bit more about how Cisco's helping there?
Yeah, so if you think about, again, customers trying to innovate and create new business models around applications and workloads, one of their concerns in going to Azure is, how do I secure this workload? I don't want it to leave my data center unless I know it's going to be secure. Then the next question they ask is, what are the policies that I should have written around this in order to secure it? That's the hardest thing for our customers to understand. What should my policy be?
Yeah, because it's like, I need to be secure, but how should I do it? And
yes.
how do you help with that? It's amazing that, look, I have a hard time, because again, I'm the programmer. I'm just the one that's writing the thing, but then there's a lot of other problems where people can come into our systems, can intrude, steal data, and we don't want that to happen.
Right.
So we got to have a good policy around that.
So the first thing I want to talk about is a product called Tetration. And this was developed at Cisco because we had something called ACI. And ACI was a way to apply your policies to the network. And what we saw with our customers were, we don't know what our policy should be because we don't know what our application's doing. We don't know what it touches, we don't know who touches it, we don't know when it gets touched, so I don't know what policy to set. So we wrote Tetration initially to say, let's monitor on the network what the workload and application is actually doing. Where does it go? Who does it touch? Who's been accessing it the most? Who tried to access it that shouldn't have tried to access it? And we set a baseline. And then once we set the baseline of what the policy should be, then we enforce them at a micro-segmentation level.
And see, that's a whole different approach than Because usually you're like, we need to add some more software, or we need to do a thing. You're actually sitting there monitoring the actual packets, so to speak, of what's going on, and you can start to detect this is where the issues might be.
Exactly.
And you can make policies based on that.
Yes.
That's awesome. And is there something you have to do to enable that, or is that just something that's available through AppLens?
You do have to define what it is that you want to look at, and it's based on it starts with your data center network and where do you have it installed and how far reaching do you want it to go. Usually customers start with a small environment that they want to monitor, the most mission critical application. I know my mission critical apps touch these things, so I'm going to monitor those things first.
I see.
And then they grow it out as they go.
And that's awesome, because again, it's not an approach that, I don't know why I didn't think of this, because obviously there's packets floating around, and you probably have some routers that are Cisco-based that are there that can monitor stuff with the software enabled as well to develop a good policy about what's actually happening,
yes,
not what you think is happening.
Yeah. So if we go back again to the lenses, we've got an application lens, a workload, an infrastructure lens, and now this security lens. However, the security lens does something really interesting too in terms of migration. If you're having to do let's say a database migration, you're on SQL 2008, and you realize, end of support, I need to go to 2016. Mm-hmm. Tetration can tell you what the workload is, the network workload for that backend database, and where's it coming from? Which apps and where are they accessing this database?
That's awesome.
And then I know if I move it, I'm going to have to continue to support those apps at this workload.
And the thing is it's not what you think it's doing, it's what it's actually doing.
Correct, because we never actually really know. Think about it, no one ever knows end to end what the workload is touching. They only know their piece.
Right.
I know what the storage is doing. I got that cold. Oh, I know what the compute's doing. I've got that cold. No one knows the whole path.
But your routers sure as heck do, which is awesome that you're able to actually monitor and get some intelligence around what's actually happening. So let's talk about, to finish up, we have about 3 minutes. How does Cisco help Microsoft embrace a hybrid cloud model with Azure?
Yeah, so first I'm going to go back to that security model, and then I'll touch on something else.
Okay.
So along with tetration, I talked about ACI. Mm-hmm. ACI Anywhere is a way to apply security policies regardless of where your workload goes. If it goes to the edge, ACI follows with those policies that you learned in tetration. Now ACI Anywhere can follow that policy, follow the workload to the edge, it can follow the policy to Azure, et cetera. So that's the second part of that security model.
I see.
But the other way that we help customers take advantage of cloud services, whether they're on-prem or in Azure, is something called Azure Stack. Azure Stack is a hardware infrastructure that lives on-prem in the data center, but it's run just like the Azure services in the Azure cloud.
Correct.
So no one needs to know anything about the VMs or the storage or the security or any of that stuff. It's all baked into the services, and those services run on-prem.
That's awesome. And so is everything that we talked about before available when you're using Azure Stack? The same, you know where everything's going?
No, because Azure Stack is more of kind of like this independent thing that is very based on Azure services.
I see.
Right, so you just take an Azure service and you put it on this on-prem device, and everything gets managed through that service model.
I see. We have about a minute left. Where can people go to find out more about all these cool things?
Well, of course, Cisco has a booth here on site, and AppD has a partner booth right across from us. They've been garnering a lot of interest with their giveaways, so just know on cue to go over there and yell out AppD, and you're likely to win something.
Fantastic. Is there something online that people can go that are watching that are maybe not here?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Cisco.com describes all these things. Most of what I've been talking about fall into either our data center world or our security world.
Awesome.
Cisco's got a lot of products, but that's mostly where we've been landing.
Well, Cynthia, this has been awesome. I have learned a ton. Like, it's literally the routers are everywhere, and being able to add these additional phases or things is absolutely amazing for developers and for people that are doing things in the cloud. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. It was great.
Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to keep those questions. Oh, no, we have questions coming up. Don't forget to keep these questions coming over at aka.ms/MS Ignite Live, because we have a ton of amazing other things coming up.